Hello everybody! So this is a video that's completely and utterly worthless from YouTube's perspective because well, it's not a reaction and it's not a review. It's kind of in between. So a little story time. You see, young Murta would have really liked some access to some more gothic stuff, including rock operas. Yeah, it's not so much a rock opera, really. It's more like a rock talk, but we're gonna get to that. And young Murta had no ability to access such things in any way, shape, or form. So the best that I could do was to watch this movie in parts on 180p as uploaded to YouTube by random users, which is obviously not an ideal way to enjoy a movie. Therefore, I've never really seen Repo the Genetic Opera, but I have at the same time, and I have some fairly good memories of the janky videos that I did see. So one of the things that I really wanted to do this week when it popped by on my feed was to actually watch it. I've seen a couple reviews of it. I had those same YouTube clips randomly pop by back again, and with my schedule being as busy as it is, I like turning everything that I can into a YouTube video, which is not something that I recommend anybody do with their life. Don't do that. So I invite you to watch with me. Obviously, I cannot actually show you the movie. We're just gonna have stops, perhaps like tiny teeny clips that YouTube will not get overly offended by. Hopefully, I have gave up on having monetization on this video before even starting to film, so that is perfectly fine. I am just aiming to not have it blocked worldwide. That is the low bar that we're gonna go to. If YouTube starts going, nope, it's blocked worldwide, then I might have to actually start censoring the screen. For now, it is stretched. Very stretchy, which might help them to not detect it. And once again, I will stop the video to tell you what has happened up to this point, tell you my reaction to it, or show you very teeny clips, which should be completely, perfectly fine with the laws. Effectively, what you don't want to do is you don't want to show people the full video. I think it's, what, up to 2 minutes is allowed, like 10% of your content is allowed. It's wibbly wobbly. 5 seconds here or there, it will be fine. Will be fine. Current me says. Also, I absolutely despise editing, so don't expect this video to be any good. But anyway, so here's my treat for the week. I get to actually watch Repo the Genetic Opera. 27-year-old me that's in charge of my own money is rejoicing. Okay, so first of all, the opening cinematic, very nicely paced. I would say I can read the text as it comes up, which when people add their opening cinematics in like a comic sort of format, sometimes just really doesn't work. Sometimes you just flip through like it's some sort of action sequence and it's like, maybe I need some time to think. So, thinking time, reading time, all is swell. Thank you, movie. Secondly, the plot is so far that they, in not so distant future, had an epidemic of organ failures, and I keep on. The lung disease that we have is long right now, and thinking of medical implications is never too nice, and one company starts financing organs and starts financing cosmetic procedures as well for designer organs. And the idea is that if you can't pay for it, they're just gonna take it back. Which, props to them for being really good at them organ transplants, because just so you know, the current organ transplant thing, well, if you get an organ transplant, it might serve you 5-10 years. Maybe it's gonna, you'll have to get a lot of anti-rejection drugs, and eventually they do go away as well, and you need a new one. And if you're getting any sort of implants that are not like actual human organ, such as I had metal poles put into my back and taken out 2 years later, but that was an emergency procedure, so ignore that part. When metal poles came in, my parents had to sign a notice, and I was 10 years old at that point, that I can have these metal poles for the next, I think it was 37 years, or until I die, whichever happens first. And when that time period expires, they want their metal poles back. So I would have gotten the surgery at 47, provided I'm still alive, or if some accident has claimed me, the surgeons would be like, "Where my metal pole at? We need it back." So that's, as far as non-human implants go, that's a thing. At least it is in Lithuania, except that we don't have to finance it. And I wanted to stop frame here, because who made that on that poster? Boast a sexier X-ray? I'm sorry. Where are you putting all of these? What kind of organ goes into your arm? Why are the lungs on like your shoulder? And who sees these on an X-ray? What do you mean sexier? Do you paint them? Or they come in pretty colors? What do you do to them? I need an explanation. Okay, we're past the opening comic book now. There was also a little bit about how the people that made the surgeries also made an extremely addictive painkiller that apparently survives in you even after you die. So grave robbers just kind of go in and extract it from the dead. Wow, what a great chemical! It forever lives on. Does that mean that you made an infinite chemical? I mean, it's not disintegrating. It's forever in your system, and addiction to it is raising questions to me, because that was also in the opening cinematic. If you're addicted to something that never disintegrates in your system, how much of your percent of your system is getting replaced by the chemical? Or does it actually have to be in your system X amount of time before you die? Like, does it disintegrate if you leave it alone for long enough? What are the repercussions of it? Opening cinematic. I need more info than what I have just received. And now we have a storyteller, which is also the grave robber, if I remember, telling us about the Repo Man, whose job is to repossess organs. And the dude comes at 6'6", and I had to Google that, and that's pretty tall. So unless your city is full of giants, should be easy to know who it is. It's kind of like that situation with Batman. Batman is the size of a walking closet, and so is Bruce Wayne. And that is the only other person in the town that is the absolute size of a walking closet. Gee, I wonder who Batman is. Movie just told me that Repo Man will come at your weekend's hour when no one is around to rescue you, in case, you couldn't pay off your organs. But the intro cinematic also told me that repossession of the organs is completely and utterly illegal, so what do you mean? Do you people, square off against the police in your place of being? It's illegal action. I mean, if somebody was breaking into a someone else's house and it was the authorities doing that, you wouldn't like go and try and rescue your neighbors. I mean, you could if you highly mistrust the authorities, but is there a trust issue with your authorities movie? Am I asking these questions of a dystopian portrayal? Probably. I now have to point out that Repo Man got to the woman and he slit her throat. Which I thought, oh, well, that's nice. You gonna murder her before you take her heart? But no, then he like starts slicing into her before she actually dies, making me think, dear Repo Man, why did you go through the effort of slicing her throat? It takes approximately 5 minutes for somebody to bleed out. Surely you can wait. Actually, now that I think about it, it will probably take them about 3-ish minutes to pass out. And also, they're not kind of quite that helpless. Unless, of course, you also severed their windpipe. I have too much information on slicing people. I would like to submit a complaint to the movie. We are now in the future, but this is the rug that's being used in some dude's elevator. I mean, come on, it's the rug of my grandparents. It's actually my grandmother's wallpaper. I'm not even exaggerating. It is also Maximilian Strauss's wallpaper and Bloodlines, in case you needed a video game reference in here. Just stopping to, keep up with the plot. We had a little flyby of the city, and it said that this opera singer is gonna have her last performance soon. Before we came into this dude's house through the chimney, and he is in charge of Genco, which is the company that's selling all of these surgeries and repossessing organs. And he was presented with a document of 3 of his children in very incriminating poses. One of his children was like, I don't actually know, was standing shirtless above a lot of people. Gonna imply, adult relations there, I suppose. The other child was kind of passed out a pavement somewhere from a drug overdose, and the third one was ripping off a face off a woman and gave his father a thumbs up. I have a few questions. One is, who's getting like these tip-toply shape of photographs of these people? And they were also like so in front of them that there's no way that these people missed it. And why are they being presented to this dude's, table? Were there are a lot of photographs taken? Is this like the tabloids? Did he send spies to follow his own children? Because boy oh boy did they get close. Okay, then a doctor tells this dude that he is actually dying, but what I absolutely can't look past is the fact that the clipboard is see-through. And the documentation that he was handed is also see-through, but there's multiple pages. I understand the stylistic choice. It looks very futuristic, right? See-through is futuristic, but if you have like 5 pages that are all see-through except for the text stacked on top of each other, guess what? You can't actually read the top page. I have no idea how he is performing the action of reading right now. Then the guy shoots the doctor that told him that he is dying from cancer, like point blank. Well, rather, he just slammed the clipboard, and then one of his bodyguards goes off, clipboard, slam, it's shooty time. How does your place still have doctors? And 2, don't you want to live like a tiny bit longer? Because that's where doctors come in. They can like force you to live through chemotherapy and things, and it's not very nice, but it wins you some months and people take that option. You can't do that when you shoot all of your doctors, mister. The first musical number opens with Things You See in the Graveyard, and I really appreciate these ladies' dedication of singing this things you see in the graveyard while burying someone or performing the ceremony in the middle of the night. Very gothic, much appreciated, very atmospheric, great opera singing. A lot of these songs seem to be speaking, and this dude is now very, very pissed off that he's dying of cancer, and he's speaking. But these two scenes are completely unrelated, but like form a full song. So imagine now, there is a procession standing in the graveyard that is currently burying a dead body, singing things you see in the graveyard. Well, this dude in a completely different part of town is riding the elevators going, maggots, vermin, good for nothing. His bodyguards are probably like, yeah, this dude is batshit crazy, this is a pretty normal thing to do, but the priest in the graveyard should be pretty confused, especially if they like do a pause of like 1 minute in between like singing things you see in the graveyard, and he's like, why are you pausing, guys? What are you even doing? And they're like, we're kind of possessed here while creating a multi-camera shot musical number. Please excuse us. I'm sorry, I have to pause. I know that some people like, I apologize you for pausing, but I'm gonna be cutting out the whole movie so that YouTube doesn't get pissed at me, and because I can't actually show you copyrighted material. Duh. So I don't know why I'm apologizing. A lot of people actually don't like this movie. They go, oh, it's not really singing, it's more like talking, and there's like the songs in the background, and I'm like, I love it. This things you see in the graveyard bops. It does. Even when the dude talks, it's the kind of monotone that's really, to me. Please call me maggots, vermin, and good for nothing, daddy. Plot explanations so far. There is a lot that happens in this movie in a very short amount of time. The dude is riding down the elevator saying that he's gonna be letting his children guess which one will the Enterprise goes to, with I'll keep those vultures guessing, implying that he doesn't like his children, but we probably have already established that. In the meantime, this random girl with a oxygen mask is sneaking into a crypt. They're completely unrelated. She brought books and a sandwich to a graveyard in order to sit in front of a grave that says Marnie Vallis, which is probably related to 2011 to 2040, I think. So that woman is, god damn it, math, 29. Gonna be 29 in 2 years. But anyways, she just kinda shook her bag onto the floor in the graveyard to show us that she has like 2 books and a sandwich in it. And lady, do you not know how bags work? I have a bag, I take it places. You take stuff out carefully out of the bag. You don't need to shake it on the floor. That's very inconvenient because now you'll have to pick it up from the floor and put everything back into your bag. Damn it, I just realized that girl's mother is a Zoomer because she was born in 2011. Also, the girl likes bugs. She is now singing about capturing a bug and looking very warily at wandering outside of her mother's crypt, which is perfectly unlocked, which is kind of weird, honestly. Okay, so now this movie is so heavy on things happening at the exact same time. This chick is trying to get bugs. She got a bug, but there is somebody guarding the graveyard, potentially for grave robbers. There is a grave robber behind her trying to rob a grave, and the speaker is also telling you that buying zydrate off unlicensed sources is illegal, which grave robbers we have established in the opening cinematic are extracting from the dead people, which I have commented on before. Okay, the guy is now extracting zydrate from a very decomposed corpse, making me think that, yep, as I said, that shit is not biodegradable, meaning the more you use it, the more of your body should be replaced by zydrate. What is the maximum amount of zydrate that you can take as a human being until you no longer have any kind of liquid in your body outside of Zydrate. I need to know. Do we have like radioactive mutants walking around? How does that impact your ability to do anything? If you go and give blood, is Zydrate come out? This is such a weird shot, okay? The guy just extracted some Zydrate from the dead body, right? This is a guy that's patrolling the cemetery. The girl is hiding behind the grave. This one is like standing full on height. He's in clear sight. Like, this is the point in video games where all the guards would like turn to you going, I understand that at the moment he's singing quite quietly, but he is singing. He's even if we incorporate this as like a normal human behavior, he's at the very least talking to himself. And she's very surprised about that. And we have a guard that's like 1 meter in front of him. No reaction whatsoever.
To steal and rob.
There is the song lyric that goes, "It is my job to steal and rob," and when we get to graves, he starts literally screaming it, with the guard being 1 meter away from him, which makes me think that he was trying to get their attention on purpose. What kind of guards work over here? Are they like, they don't pay me enough for this shit? I don't actually care about who's in the cemetery until they literally start screaming their lungs off in front of us. The girl tries to run for presumably her mother's tomb, and the tomb closes like right in front of her face. So that thing is not locked, but that shit goes on lockdown if they fire up sirens. Interesting design. Grave Robber just used a corpse's head in order to go straight through a headstone. Okay, he was extracting Zydrate from their brain. Does it actually metalify your bones? Is it not the blood that it goes to? Is it the bones? Do you like get Zydrate bones, and does that like make you... Are you Wolverine now? Are you Wolverine now? Because that corpse had the bone strength of Wolverine. One note of the movie, props for this. They break through a tombstone to go into a corpse pile. It's just a pile of corpses, like, just dump them there. So it also has an opening up above, and Grave Robber is obviously very, very happy about finding so many corpses, but the thing that I wanted to point out is that he is standing directly in front of the woman from the opening cinematic that had her heart harvested. Nice! So the madman is still screaming inside the hole, by the way, of Grave Robber. I'm now just calling the dude the madman. While the police forces come up to them and they drag the girl off, and she's absolutely terrified, poor kid, and I would be too. Who sends like a full-on hit squad to the graveyard to like remove a 17-year-old from it? And it seems like the dying of cancer super rich dude is watching all of this on premium cameras. After that, the girlie passes on the floor going, "Please, I can't breathe. Anyone couldn't breathe there, girlie. You were having a panic attack, effectively." And she wakes back up in her bed, with BP machines that sound like they're breathing for her, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure that they're not, because I don't see any tube in her throat, so that beep is sus. Do you just have the ventilator beep for white noise? That is one heck of an expensive white noise to sleep to. They're now having a musical argument where she's all like, "Dad, I've been outside and there were all of these dead bodies." And he's like, no, you weren't. And she's like, "Yeah, I have. I wouldn't have imagined all the dead bodies." And he's like, Please drop it, and that is also a hella sus. Exposition time. Her doctor dad is singing to her about how is she dying of blood disease that her mother had and that she should definitely take her meds. Side note, appreciated, much easier to understand plot without everything happening all at once. That is how things should be, I think. He gave her meds and locked her friggin' door, which is fucking cruel, man. What does she do if she wanna use the bathroom? Please tell me that that room at least comes with a bathroom. Okay, we now have a teenage whine song of I am infected by your genetics, where she just laments the fact she had a disease. My genetics ain't perfect either. I have plenty of shit that can go wrong at any time and plenty that has, but I don't like teenage songs. I really don't. They just have like this flavor of angsty, but there is just this one line of tell me why, oh why, my genetics such a bitch. That is such a good line. That cracks me up. I would like to also point out that her nightgown is inappropriately short. I don't know why I'm being a moral police, but this is supposed to be a teenager, and it hits me in all the wrong places. I immediately want to, like, run in there with, like, being this cute little granny with a skirt going covering up, honey. I don't know why I say granny. I'm only 27, but it just... It feels like it's beyond the motherly instinct. It's like a grandmotherly instinct of like, honey, did you forget your pants? May I comment on this scene? Of course I may. It's only me in this room. They have giant TVs, like, just blaring free television all the time, so they can't pay for surgery, but they can play for all free television for all of their inhabitants, which is friggin' amazing. Also probably very noisy and inconvenient. Her house is like... old style house, but look at the height. It's giant. It's like somebody took a skyscraper and mashed it into an old style brick house, and I don't think that construction wise that would work. We quickly have a flashback of this dude's story. Apparently his wife's blood disease just kinda manifested itself in the middle of her being pregnant, like it was a latent thing, it wasn't the thing that she was born with, and he tried a cure on her, and she started bleeding out of every orifice and dying of blood loss, so he had to do like a extra fast cesarean, and then just sat there with a baby with a very dead look on his face. I feel sorry for you, man. He is now singing to his old wife's portrait, being all guilt-ridden about everything that has happened 17 years ago, when he did the cesarean and she died. But I swear that the chorus, that can't be the chorus, but the chorus is, to me, it sounds like Sexy Murder Monster. Fucking hell, I feel sorry for the kid growing up in the house full, and I do mean wall-to-wall full, of images of her dead mother. Like holographic images, just not like one or two, it's everywhere. For God's sakes, I have 0 images of myself on my walls. I have 0 images of my husband on my walls. My grandmother has a couple of images of me and my mother, just like nicely framed. This is a whole house stuffed chock full of giant images of her dead mother. Oh, what would that mentally do? Especially when your dad is like, and she, by the way, can't leave because she's my everything and I have formed some unhealthy attachments to my daughter because I do not have a wife. At the end of the song, we figure out that he is the Repo Man. Why would you put this here? Okay, so we had like a lot of exposition, a lot of shit happened, and we cut to 3 stooges that are the children of the rich dude, and, well, one of them is Paris Hilton, but effectively Paris Hilton goes, "Where is dad, brother?" And brother goes, "I am in charge, sister," because freaking hell, they don't even have each other's names. And then she kinda Knees him in his nuts and licks his what? We have a guy who looks like he's about 40. I mean, he looks older than me. I look pretty old for my age. Is singing, I am a smartest, I am the toughest, I'll find the hole and fuck it. I have a feeling that your IQ is sub 50, Mr. Smarty Pants. Also, by the way, this family is absolutely obsessed with murder. They have women in like 60s stewardesses uniforms serving their labs, but probably very well educated considering that they're handling organs, so I'm gonna assume that they at the very least need to be doctor level, which would mean that they spent about the first 30 years of their life studying. And he said, if I don't find a hole to fuck it, I'm gonna make one, and just kind of stabbed her in the stomach and left her to die. How does the city still have doctors? The guy without a face just ripped off panties of two of these. What is even the song? Well, besides mildly irritating and the fact that if you're gonna rip somebody's panties off, unless you have scissor fingers, which I don't think that this is Edward Scissorhands, and now I'm tempted to watch that one too. Unless you're that's gonna be quite painful, because that requires quite the force, even if it's the flimsiest of all panties. Blind Mag, which is an opera singer, is currently advertising Jinko's Magic Eyes that can also record your memories and replay it for you, not only make you see. Besides that Stooges song that like came in the middle and just felt really horribly inappropriate and absolutely horrible, and I didn't like it one bit. Imagine having a cornea surgery and being able to perfectly see, and your stage name is Blind Mag. Okay, this shitty pig is being very, very, very incredibly creepy because he just sent that 17-year-old a message, which I assume he saw her, but just the fact that he saw her in the graveyard, how does that equip you to get her phone number? But he like sent her a message of, Shiloh, you don't know me. Where does he get her name from? Her name wasn't mentioned. But your mother was very dear to me. Please meet me at your mother's grave. I would have just been like, you're old and creepy. How did you get this number? No thanks. Okay, so Rotti's, this dying from cancer dude is, by the way, named Rotti. Story is that he was also in love with Shiloh's mother, and she broke his heart by marrying this other dude, so he decided to sneak in poison into that dude's lab. I'm just calling everyone dudes. That's this video is not confusing at all. Please continue watching. I am lonely, I need friends. Actually, scratch that. I do have quite enough friends. I lack the time. I just like making YouTube videos. Don't take that too seriously. But anyways, he got his heart broken, so he decided to poison his former lover and frame her current husband, which he did. And then he forced the husband to work for him through blackmail of going like, gee, Wiz, you killed your wife. If you don't work for me, supposedly I'm gonna take you to prison or something.
Ashes, dust. My children were a bust.
And then he breaks into ashes, dust. My children were a bust. I, for some reason, extremely adore any songs that this guy appears in. He's just, please, my dude, continue speaking in rhymes to me, pretty please, everywhere at all times. This is like their old marriage video, right? Where the doctor marries his wife, then died of blood poison. Just in case, I'm just gonna like continuously recap the plot for you. And he is just standing in the back. He was invited to her wedding. How cold is that? That is very cold. First of all, this meeting, they established no time frame for when she should show up at her mother's grave, so she just immediately went there. And he arrives, and that window, you can see through it. And he's standing in front of that window going, Marnie, it's Rotti, you never should have left me. While clearly seeing that Marnie's daughter is like right through that window. Come on, that door is pretty thin, which means that you would have a pretty wide field of view. It's not like it's a tunnel. It's just a door. You can see the woman. Why would you shout this exposition at her daughter is my question. Just so you know, he smoke grenaded the child out of her mother's tomb, but the mourners are still there singing things you can see in the graveyard. Are they paid to just sit in the graveyard forever singing things you can see in the graveyard? Are they like salaried on singing the things you can see in the graveyard? What are the job hours? At what point do you have to show up, and at what intervals do you have to sing things you can see in the graveyard? This is very important. That scene with the old dude and her kinda hit it in all the wrong places for me, because he just kinda abducted that kid by smoking her out of her parent. Jesus Christ, that's a horrible way to get anyone to talk with you. But anyways, he is like, I can give you the cure, lass, because all of my children are a disappointment. And she's like, my father will worry. And he's like, your father doesn't need to know where you are at all times. But then he also goes, come to me to this function. You can be my date. And I'm like, creepometer. Ha ha ha. Hopefully in a fatherly manner, and now we have her father dancing with his Repo Man's mask, preparing to kill the dude that he had tied up in this basement for over a night now. His performance of it's a thankless job, but somebody's gotta do it. I love it. He is saying that he's forced to do this because they forced him into it, but he looks so into it, and I am so here for it. This dude has his skin and muscle tissue open to like such a wide extent, but he is hollow. This guy is managing to live with no organs. It's a new improvement.
And a stitch! Returning organs.
Oh, the hole magically now has some organs in it. Quite big ones as well. You weren't leading a very healthy lifestyle where you live. Actually, now that I think of it, I think his organs are goo. He is now using the corpse as a ventriloquist dummy. You gotta tell me that this guy isn't enjoying his job. What do you mean it's a thankless job? You seem to be very happy doing it. We cut to them Jinko people preparing for Blind Mag's last performance, I guess, because they're all just one big happy group. So you have like an opera singer, and you have CEO of a major organ selling corporation, plus their children. This is a perfectly normal way to interact socially. This is like a completely normal company. What are you looking at? But once again, we have a song by the Three Stooges that are just experiencing all the vices of life, and I hate every single bit to do with the Three Stooges. I believe that the movie would be 100 times better if we just made these scenes disappear. They also serve like no real purpose. Just an outside comment, but they now brought Shiloh to meet Mag, and Mag just looks like the absolute goth queen. That eye makeup, it's to die for. And the children, the three adult children of this dude, they're all like colorful, and Paris Hilton just looks like she's playing Paris Hilton, and you have Mag just standing there, and she looks like she had died decades ago, and I'm so for it. I would love to be that person, but I'm not that good at eye makeup, and I don't like wearing makeup, so I'm just your comfy homely goth instead. Just gonna say that Rotty makes contracts that are worse than the contract with the devil. So, Meg was Marnie's friend. She was 19, Marnie was probably significantly older than her, and Marnie was dating Rotty. And Marnie introduced Rotty to Meg, and Rotty gave Meg new eyes with the contract stipulation that for as long as she has those eyes, she has to serve him. Like, indentured servitude. What kind of friend would let a friend sign a contract like that, especially for just the gift of sight? Pity that you can't see, but you can still hear, you can still smell, and you can still eat. You do not sell yourself into indentured servitude for eyesight. They're now in front of like a whole bunch of interviewers, and this guy is just hugging her, going, "Please don't go," and she's like, "I must leave." And he's like, "Technically you belong to Jinko," like in front of all of the interviewers. Imagine somebody like publishing that story in the newspapers, going, "Hey, this guy technically owns a girl. He is a slave owner." Then he literally pulls the "just kidding" right afterwards. "Oh, of course I joke." Oh, that's pretty rude. So they take Shiloh. It's gonna be a bitch remembering everyone's names for me. I'm very sorry, people. To meet Meg, and well, the guy was like, "I can cure your blood disease." So after she met Meg, after like that interview bit, do you like immediately like push her to the surgery tent? Jesus Christ, why are you scaring a young girl? This is quite an interesting conversation, by the way, because there was an alarm ringing to him going, "It's time for Shiloh to take her medicine," so he calls her daughter. And there is talking in the background, and he's like, "Who's that?" "My daughter." And she's like, "My window's cracked, my father." I'm paraphrasing their conversation. Please don't ban me, YouTube. And then the guy that he is repossessing organs from starts screaming, and she's like, "Who's that? My father?" And he's like, "No, nobody, my daughter. And it's just a very, very sick patient." So it's like heartwarming secrets between father and daughter. Though, please do not call your children in the middle of assassination. It's kind of very obvious. The grave robber just cut into the tent that she is in. I mean, the tent has better openings than that. But sure, dude. Sure. Now we cut to a scene. Shiloh and the grave robber are now escaping the tent. In the middle of this, Rotty is giving an interview to this very huggy interviewer, by the way, because he got like right up close. This would be the most awkward way of getting an interview. It's like the interviewer just like comes up, "Excuse me, sir," and cuddles up to you while asking all the questions. I suppose maybe, but too touchy for me, do not like. And he immediately goes, "Oh, by the way, that drug that you're using, it's very highly addictive. Can we get a comment on that?" The question was supposed to be directed to Rotty's child Ember, which apparently leads the Zydrate Addict Supports Group, and then we cut to Zydrate Addict Supports Group leaving the room looking all zombified, because that is just how you look apparently if you take a lot of Zydrate. I mean, it turns your brain blue, I'm not entirely surprised. And they run into Shiloh and the grave robber, and a girl from the support group immediately goes, "How old are you?" And she's like, 17. And they're like, "I had my first surgery when I was 13, and thanks to Zydrate, I could not feel a thing." It's like, thanks, addict. This is a very odd thing to disclose to a random stranger on the street. Imagine if you were meeting with, I don't know, Meth Anonymous, and you were leaving the math meeting, and you saw a random teenager on the street and going, how old are you? Oh, you're 17? Well, I started doing math when I was 13, and oh boy, did my life rock. I love this as a song, but as a concept it works so weird because everybody needs to be shouting pretty obvious things. So, drug dealer grave robber starts singing about hydrate, and he goes, hydrate comes in a little glass vial. And Shiloh goes, a little glass vial? And everybody on the street just responds with, a little glass vial. Porridge comes in a little bowl. A little bowl? And the whole street just goes, a little bowl! One of the most impressive things about Mr. Grave Robber is when he is waving Zydrate around, everybody moans. So, Paris Hilton gets her shot of Zydrate and passes out in the street. And then you hear really unclear mumbling with the poster of Blind Mag directly above Paris Hilton. It's like, And Shiloh goes, hey, that's Blind Mag's song. And I'm like, what? You referring to the poster kid, or... That, by the way, pisses off Paris Hilton, and she starts going, so you think you have heart? So you think you got balls? Which, how does, I know that you don't like Blind Mag, but I don't see how that's related. They give Shiloh a magazine stating that Mag's contract has a mighty fine print that states that if she ends her servitude to Jenko can take back her eyes. Well, the Repo Man that apparently also murders you before he takes your eyes, because that is absolutely necessary. You can't, like, take eyes without murdering someone. Despite the fact that you don't actually need eyes to live. But you know, and I'm pretty sure that the thing that they're holding looks like tip-top shape as a magazine. It doesn't look like what a contract is supposed to look like, especially in the futuristic time of see-through paper that apparently they have, but not on magazines. Do you post people's contracts in magazines? Because if you, that's weird. Yep, I was right. They indeed handed the girl a magazine. They invite the dad to the office to go, hey, by the way, your wife's best friend, you like going off there and murdering her, yo, because we need her eyes. There is something really hot about scantily clad nurses yelling, remember what you did to Marnie, into this poor guy's ears, while there's also some dude that's just a prop tied to a chair screaming for his life. I don't know what. Ooh, Meg comes to the house of Shiloh singing that Shiloh looks just like her mother and that she's her godmother, and I'm like, when did you have that arrangement? Because she kind of died while giving birth. You sure? You're absolutely certain? But I do like the song. There is kind of like Chase the Morning in the middle, just like projected out of her eyes, which is, I think, Shiloh's mom, and her sing-songy talk is just, this one bops. I stan everything about Meg. Her wardrobe, just her makeup. It's goth queen. It's goth queen. Her godmom just effectively, this was really hard to figure out what she was saying, but she effectively said, before I go, please promise me that Rose best blooms outside of her bedroom. Is the promise like sneak out more? That the promise? Okay, so the dad comes in and he boots the godmother out. And Shiloh is all like, no, hide her in their house because the Repo Man is coming and he's gonna kill her. And her dad's like literally the only Repo Man that, by the way, Rotty has assigned a hit on his only Repo Man, as far as we know. That's really not thinking things through, Roddy. Your family seems to be doing a lot of that. the whole argument, I think Mag's position was, don't worry, Shiloh, I'll be fine. As she was being shoved out of the house. That was like, drop it, there are things that we cannot change. And Shiloh was like, no, you have to fight the Repo Man. Obviously impossible considering that he's the Repo Man, but also, I do kind of understand that, because even if he wasn't the Repo Man, imagine your daughter's like, no, hide a refugee in our house, or else they're gonna be killed. And it's like, kid, your family will be killed if you're found to be hiding this refugee in your house. So while it is a wonderful display of morals to choose to do this, and I appreciate all those people that actually did do things like that during war times and similar, you have to understand the risks that it can carry, and you have to understand why a lot of more people did not do the morally okay thing. They wanted to come out of the situation alive, so I can sort of understand that too. The issue is, I love the setup, but everybody is talking at the exact same time, and if you want to do some practice for expanding your mind, one of the good practices that you can do is set music playing and focus on one instrument or one voice in the chorus, and only that one. And try and get your brain to like switch off all the surrounding noise. After a while, you'll be able to focus better. And you can do that with eyes as well. You can like have two very, very similar colors and stare at them and try and tell the difference. It's a good mind exercise. It's what it is. And when I got into a cult, one occultists effectively sent it to me, which I still appreciate. So I was able to follow all 3 threads somewhat okay, but it's hard. It is very, very hard. Even if you're super attentive and your ears are like super out there, it's still hard to follow 3 people talking at the exact same time. Jesus Christ. Then she has like the song and dance number about how she's 17 and she's better than 40, and it's the biggest cringest thing. And the dad kind of had a point, but he delivered on it a lot worse than he should have. Because he's like, your mother's death taught me that I shouldn't hold on to absolutely anything, for everything is temporary in this world. What do your 17-year-old dreams know? And it's like, no. If we're gonna approach the topic of hiding refugees in your house, I gave a better explanation of it than you did. But at the same time, 17 song very, very, very cringe. And I am gonna be skipping right through it because I can't. I sat through the Stooge songs, but I can't stand this one. Correction, her song was just her freaking out from falling blood pressure and her going unconscious. I am so happy that it happened in her brain. The fact that her clothes changed probably should have told me that. After that, we have a song about how Amber got herself surgically maimed by going after backstreet surgery because she's addicted to the surgery and her daddy no let her have surgery anymore. And when he sees just how badly she's maimed, he's like, yeah, okay, Paris Hilton, you can have your surgery to fix this. So nice that you can fix surgical maims by just like a wave of a wand. You don't have to deal with scar tissue or anything. By the way, he kind of vomits from his daughter's appearance, which is damn dude inconsiderate. Oh god, and then Rotty starts going, flesh is weak and blood is cheap. I love it, Rotty, when you just go into the most depressive moods and do your speaky thing. If this movie was just him doing his speaky thing for 2 hours straight, I would be still here. I think Roddy is planning to assassinate his own children in order to leave everything to Shiloh. Wow. Okay, they literally sent assassins to the Repo Man's house. I suppose they do have extra assassins. It's fine. One Repo Man is... yeah, then apparently you can get assassins very easily. Okay, so everybody is going to the opera now. In case anybody's not like following the plot. And by the way, you only have me to tell you what's happening because you can't see what's happening. Only I can see what's happening because I have the movie privilege. Roti invites Shiloh to the opera, going, I have your cure, everything will be revealed today, but she doesn't get the message. Her father gets the message, and he's like, so you want to take my daughter away from me? And he's prepared to go to the opera. Mag is having her last performance at the opera, and there is a hit on her called in. Amber is there to presumably sing after Mag because she wants to be the popular opera singer that the corporation that she was born into endorses. The other stooges are also there because important event, I guess. And all of those three also have a hit called on them by their father, and Shiloh goes, oh, Mag's opera performance is today, and she also sneaks out, so everybody is going to the opera, all the family. Oh, and I really feel sorry for Genko employees, for we now have hits on all three of Roddy's children, Nathan Wallace, which is his repo man, and Mag, all at the same time. You have like 5 really high figures. The employees are sent after all. Yeah, that's not a complicated night. It's not like you have 47 here. You just have a whole bunch of people. Nathan is now talking in 2 voices with the whole Jekyll and Hyde thing going, where he notices that his daughter is missing, and he's like, you know, keep Shiloh safe, make Roddy pay, and I'm all here for it. Shiloh gets into a limo to go to the opera, and the old man goes, Shiloh, this dress once belonged to your mother. I would be honored if you wore it to the opera. No. Creepiness factor over 100. I absolutely love that everybody is stating their intentions as to why they're going to the opera, and Shaila's like, I must be brave. And Meg is like, I made my peace. I know that I'm dying. I made my peace, which is good on you, Meg. It's like, I'm gonna sing. Once again, good on you, Meg. That's very mature of you, and it's honestly kind of nice. It's you're taking what's left of your tiny bit of life into your own hands. Wonderful. Repo Man is just like, I'm gonna make everybody pay, and there's also the Stooges, and Amber's getting another surgery, but the chorus is just Repo Man, and I love it. I love the chorus. Once again, I am all here for Meg's wardrobe. Please! I wanna own it, I wanna wear it, and I wanna plaster the pictures from this movie all over everywhere at all times. This is... I have to appreciate the fact that it's Ladies and Gentlemen to Genetic Opera opens, and the singers kind of come from like behind all of the people, but they opened it in a venue that can seat, what, a maximum like 60 people perhaps? You would think that it would be this big thing. This corporation owns the city practically, if not more. And they open like their big show, which is a big show, like a venue of 60 people, and all of them are like so excited, and I don't blame them for being excited, but come on, man. Why so little? This is like a premium concert. Thousands could show up. Aha! Okay, even better shot. Let's take this road. It will be easier for counting. 1. That might be a 2, but the guy's awkward, so I'm gonna say that that's a 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I was right. That's about 5. And 1, 2, 3, 7, maybe. So okay, once again, close to 6. This is a very, very tiny venue. They took Shiloh in a separate room to play her a video that was like really heavily edited, by the way. Somebody put in the time. for Shiloh specifically that stated, "Hey, Repo Man is coming for you," which is a lie. No Repo Man is coming for her, and she needs to trap him. She needs to use herself to trap him, for he's an employee that has gone mad and needs to be put down. And Jesus Christ, dude, she's a 17-year-old girl. What do you think she's gonna do against the Repo Man? Why would you ever do this? Amber Sweet sings, and her face is falling off during her performance, and she keeps on like readjusting the flap. She spins around, kicks the microphone, which means that she has absolutely no scene awareness, and her face falls off, and the audience starts booing, of all things. Nobody's like, "Oh my god, her face fell off. What the fuck, Jinko? This is like your poster child. This is what your surgery do?" No. They're just like, "Boo, bad performance. Put your face back on, lady." Shiloh is sitting in this very beautiful goth room, wearing a very beautiful goth dress, and the speaker goes, "Bring me, Repo Man, and you're gonna get your cure." And I'm like, once again, she's like a 17-year-old kid. Even if we didn't know that that is her father, what the fuck do you expect her to do? To wave a magic wand and kill like a 2-meter dude? She's tiny. You also didn't give her any weapons, so I suppose you just expect her to know CQC. Then Mag comes on scene, and she sings, and there was like a small bomb beep somewhere in the distance, so they were fully on planning on just like taking her out during the performance, and her performance is absolutely beautiful, and right at the end she's like, "Come take these eyes, I'd rather die," while still singing, and just kind of rips them off, and it's like, "You go, girl, you go." And then they just kind of cut the wire that she was being supported at, and she falls and gets impaled by the stage prop. And everybody's like, but honestly, she took her death into her own hands. That's fairly empowering. After that death, they just kind of pulled the curtain on her and going, "Part of the show, folks. But stay tuned, we're gonna cure a very sick girl in a second." And meanwhile, Repo Man comes into her room where she dressed a mannequin in like her veil. And the Repo Man is like, "The fuck is this?" And is approaching the mannequin, and she attacks the Repo Man with a shovel, which you gotta hand it to her. Good going, girl. But once again, they left her no weapons. The fuck is she supposed to do? Learn CQC? She's a small... She's a girl, he's a big dude. One hit with it's kind of hard to actually kill a person until your own anatomy gives up on yourself, and then you kind of die while sneezing. The human body is a very interesting thing. He gets up. He was wearing a helmet. That shovel did fuck all. And she's like, "Oh my god, that's my dad." And his immediate reaction is to go, "Didn't I tell you not to go out? Didn't I?" It's like, you told her not to go out because she might, on the off chance, encounter your killer persona, where you work as an assassin of your... Is this a regular occurrence, my man? This is just like such an unknown. Pretty sure there's other reasons why you told her not to go out. This shouldn't even register on the reason list. Like, on the off chance that you somehow got my helmet off while I'm committing murder or getting hired for murder, that is specifically why you shouldn't go out in this town. While she's like, "You lied to me, Dad," they start flashing with like the flash camera into the room. The scene of the dead Mag? Roddy, excuse me, why? You're just a really cruel man, you know that. There's absolutely no need for it. And the dad looks absolutely shocked, and Mag looks well, Mag can't look shocked, she's dead. Shiloh's looks absolutely shocked. And she's like, "Didn't you say you were gonna protect me?" And the dad's like, "Yeah, I did. And she's like, is that how you're gonna protect me, Dad? Is that how you're gonna protect me, Dad?" And it's like, you're accusing your dad of planning to murder you? Because That is a heavy accusation to launch there, and I understand why you would be making it, considering that Rottie told you that your dad is out to get you, but this is handling this whole emotional baggage the wrong way around. The wrong way around. She has a very emotional teenage reaction going, I don't know who you are, Dad. I think somebody replaced my dad. I want you to stop trying to help me and just go and die. Teenagers say that without meaning it for less than that. It's a very emotionally hormonal time, and obviously she just figured out that her father is assassin for hire. I can completely understand her side of the story. But then him being a responsible adult, you would think, but the movie adults can't really adult all that well, goes, didn't I build a house for you, didn't I? And it's like, that's legitimately, your ability to earn an income is not under the consideration or under stress in here. I do not understand why you're currently bringing it up. This is the wrong way of handling your child's emotional impact of figuring out that you're an assassin for hire, especially when the godmom that they just met a day ago is lying dead on the scene. This is a lot of miscommunication is happening right now, and I'm just not digging it. I hope that this isn't meaning what I think it is, because he then goes to singing, have I failed my daughter? Then let the father die and let the monster rise. So if your child has a bad opinion of you, do you just like go, okay, then I guess I'm stabbing the child, all is lost now. Everyone is on scene with Meg's corpse right now, and the stooge number 1 hits her dad in the back, and now he's on his knees. They bring the whole... So, okay, they're on the scene right now, and Roddy wants somebody to assassinate the Repo Man, very obviously, and we have Shiloh on the scene, and he opens the curtain, and he goes, even though I'm terminally ill, and he's bickering with his own children while also planning an assassination like full of you. This is... Why did you even try to hide anything at any point if this is how you want to go out, mate? This is so emotionally abusive because while on the stage to an audience of friggin' 60, and this man is dying from blood loss because, honestly, they probably paralyzed his legs. They hit him, like, straight in the back. This isn't good. I nearly died on an operating table when they were operating on my back, so yeah, you can probably cut through pretty important things down there, especially considering the amount of blood he's losing right now. But anyway, while on the scene, the Stooges just kind of grab Shiloh and go, did you know that you murdered your mother, by the way? That's so much drama to unpack. And Repo Man is just, she's like, wait, what's going on, Dad? Because they're like, it's not even as big as lie. And he's like, please, let's just leave no more. And I'm like, please, with the guy, just leave no more. He deserves a bit better than that. Her dad was microdosing poison to her the whole time, and unfortunately the poison seems to be addictive, and when it expires, she stops being able to breathe, and Rottie's like, your cure is just, you have to fight through it, which, no! If you're addicted to absolutely any kind of substance, getting off it is a bitch. I don't think I've actually been addicted to any kind of substance, but medicines are difficult, and getting off them tends to be a long time process, even if something is inherently poisoning to you. Even if you're an alcoholic, you can't just stop. This is a very bad idea. So the fact that she was having microdosed poison for 17 years, and he's like, it's fine, you just have to fight through it. She gonna die, bro. Don't do it like that. And she passes out. No shit. She wakes up after being passed out because her body is absolutely amazeballs and can just cure dependencies just like that. And Roddy's like, hey, if your mother never fled me, you would be mine. Roddy, not your genetics, dude. Not your genetics. But he's like, deny your father now. The father is now in the wheelchair. Roddy's children is nowhere to be seen. The blood in the puddle did not coagulate, so question mark amount of time has passed. And I just imagined all that poor audience that sat there really, really awkwardly waiting for her to wake back up, going, wonder will she actually wake up? This is such a bad argument. Roddy is now like, hey, for everybody, including my children that are currently in the audience that are watching, as long as you pull the trigger on your dad, I'm gonna leave you my whole enterprise. And she's like, fuck off, are you crazy? I ain't killing my dad. And he's like, hey, killing is in your genetics. See, your father's a murderer. Didn't you say that you were infected? You're the one that are making her do the murder. She don't wanna do the murder. You can argue that murder is in the genetics if murder come naturally to her, which murder does not, and neither does to her father. At 7 a.m., I'm so sorry, I'm just a fine geisha. I should get some sleep tonight. Oh, that's so nice. I mean, I don't really have forgiveness for the father for poisoning his daughter for 17 years. But he can't understand that he's dying right now, so he's like, can you please forgive me? And she just has her gun drawn on Roddy, going, you killed my mother to use my father, which is, yep, correct, kid, and now you're trying to use my father's death to use me, which is, once again, yep, correct, kid. But the dad in the wheelchair is starting to sing the song that they used to kind of try and get him to go after Mag, which is remember what you have done. So he's starting to go with the verses of I remember. But this time he's like, I remember every mistake that I've done practically. And that is just such a nice callback that I thought it's worth mentioning. And he's like, remember that I loved you and I'm sorry that I failed you. Well, is it Munchausen syndrome? I mean, kind of, I don't know, that's probably the wrong word. You're poisoning someone else, not yourself, to make them dependent on you, and then you're like, but remember that I love you. Conflicting emotions here. Roddy pulled the gun from her and shot her dad, while her dad was like, remember that it's up to you to go and turn your life into something worth remembering, which is very nice dying words. And some guy with the lights is just having a whale of a time with just trailing the flashlight on her, going, look at this child mourning her dying father. So Roddy is kind of dying from his debilitating cancer cough. Why is it that when people die of cancer in movies, it's always kind of like lung cancer, and it's not one of them really drawn out and gross shit, like when your stomach stops working or your bowels back up and you can't eat anything for weeks. Cancer is a very horrible thing to die of. It's never as easy as just like, let me have this theatrical cough, I can't breathe and I'm so dying right now. But his children comes along and he insults the two boys that are there, going, stay away from me, while waving a gun, and his daughter that doesn't have a face on runs on stage going, just kind of standing there for a while, and he's like, you disgust me, go away, I don't recognize you as my daughter, which, to be fair, she changed her name. She didn't really honor her father all that much, but there's a lot of family problems happening there, and she just has this hurt look, and then skedaddles off the stage again. So he had Paris Hilton standing in the face mask makeup just to be insulted by her father in that scene. He really managed to fuck up. his grand exit because he is dying on stage going, "The world will remember how lucky they were to have me." While everyone's kind of in the audience just shaking their heads going, "What the heck did I sign up to watch today?" You know, it's funny. Shiloh asked for help, and nobody in the audience even reacted at all. And now they're all just crying at watching her dad die with her. He's dying and they're singing right now, and it's kind of really, really sad because she's saying, "I didn't know I loved you so much," and it same line from him, except he's like, I used to sit and wish that I was the one that died, and the guy just led a really, really tortured life, and that doesn't excuse what he did to his daughter. His daughter is gonna just have mental trauma for years. The only person that was in her life at all has abused her, but it's also the figure that took care of her, so no shit she's feeling some sort of love for him. It's a very complex situation. Great song.
I love you so much.
Also, I know that I'm not gonna let you listen to any of this, just in hopes that YouTube will let me keep this video and just let you have these screenshots from the movie, not even the soundtrack or the movie itself. But the actor that was the Repo Man, the dad, he has a very nice voice. Okay, the ending is really weird because this is a bit of her, like, liberating song. By the way, I just freeze-framed on the frame when nothing but her face is visible, which makes this the haunting of the opera. That's a whole different movie, I believe. But anyway, she walks down the path and she says that while it's her in her genes, it's not genes that define her, it's her actions, which is, yeah, a nice message, but then she goes, "Free at last!" And you're like, this is a beautiful message, except that you are currently bathed in your father's blood. Having experienced incredible trauma, how are you still functioning? Okay, so the ending to this whole thing. Well, you can see the freeze frame of at least part of it. Shiloh leaves, and she doesn't take the Empire. Despite the fact that Roddy said he was gonna sign it off to her, I suppose it's really a legal battle that you don't wanna fight. He said he was gonna sign it off to her, he didn't actually do the signing, so I don't blame her for just leaving. I hope she has a better life, because boy oh boy, sheer PTSD from that night. Then the grave robber closes the whole show with a song very similar to Zydrate Anatomy, where he's all like, you know, "Oh, it just hastens our path to this little black box," or whatever it was. And then they have the post-credit scene where it's Amber that takes the Empire. I don't know how she won against the two brothers. Honestly, I don't know. That's just left behind the scenes, but she was so meek that I'm very surprised, unless, of course, somebody else in the office has decided that her PR is actually the least bad. Then she auctions her fallen face off as a sign to commitment to New Days, and her big stooge kills the three top bidders so that the little stooge can take and wear her face. Somebody should just write a story about this family. And that is where the movie ends, and it is now 7:20 in the morning. I really should get some sleep before I go back to work. Living the vampire life, I am living the vampire life. All of the little points you will hear me throughout the recording, complaining about things and pointing things out. I mean, this recording is literally 3 hours long. I will be cutting out the majority of the movie, but it's still gonna be quite a long recording, even when I cut the majority of the movie out, which worries me. And honestly, it worries me when I have to upload a 2-hour video, because who the heck wants to watch a 2-hour video from me? But some of you, for some reason, really do. This movie works as a whole thing. If you watch it, it is fun. It is entertaining. I really like the visuals. Singers and points are very, very good. Biggest issue is a lot of things happen at once, especially at the start. You have like the calmer moments, which is like more Shiloh and her dad moments, unless they're like talking at the same time, or her dad having an epilogue or whatever. And these calmer moments, they're paced right. And the rest of the movie, you have to track 3 sources at once, which is either like the grave robber, Shiloh, and the speaker, or Shiloh, Meg, and her dad. I found that quite doable, and I could get exactly what was happening throughout the whole time, but it definitely complicates things. It asks people to pay attention to too many things at once. And also, kind of one song leads into another, which is fine, but what ends up happening is that you have like 1 minute to 1 minute and 50 per each song, and each song on its own, you're like, well, that's a bop. It could be its own thing, but it doesn't have that runtime of like 3 minutes. A few songs do, and I think those are the more popular songs on YouTube, like Zydrate Anatomy, I think would have like a full 2 minutes of runtime. Amazing. But a lot of things, like the Rothy's opening speech, all of them are maggots, and well, the things they do in the graveyard are the things you see in the graveyard, like, are sung in the background, because this is also his speech. It's not a fully written song, and it leads on into something else, which is also true for when Mag and Shiloh and her dad are arguing. That segment is like 30 seconds long, but it sounds good, and it could be a bop, but it stops. You're taken away. So it works as like a completed thing. It does not work as musical songs. Like, you can't just like take one song from the beginning to the end, because technically it doesn't have a beginning and it doesn't have an end. And that honestly annoys me, because I would like to like re-listen to parts, but I would like for these parts to be more complete so that I can enjoy re-listening them. And because of that blending together, it's hard for you to be like, oh yeah, that was absolutely my favorite song, because once again, it never had like the beginning or end, so your brain did not actually register it. Did not actually register that it has happened. Actors are honestly really fairly good. So, actors that had wonderful voices. Rothy, he did a good opera performance, and he did a great talking performance. Repo Man Nathan, especially when he was having his Jekyll and Hyde moment, when his voices were switching when everybody was going to the opera, but once again, that was like a 30-minute segment, that wasn't the full song. But anytime when those two are on screen, it's like so worth it. They hit it. And what else did I really like? Mac has a good vocals, but she had like 2 songs, and one was, it had a bopping chorus for like live for the moment, or what. It's 7 a.m. My brain can't remember what I just saw, but I did enjoy it. It had a bopping chorus, but she was talking for the majority of it, going, let me in, Shiloh, let me in. And Shiloh's like, I shouldn't be here. And she's like, but I'm your godmom. And then it was her exit song, where she was taking her own life, Well, you can't really die from penetrating your eyeballs. I mean, from infection over time, but she ripped her eyes out and she looked very happy, and then they just threw her in the fence, and that killed her. Wonderful exit. Good song, but it was like a fully opera song, so I don't actually connect to it that much. So she got like those two moments in the movie for the most part, from what I remember. Her wardrobe, though, I love it. I would love to have it. Honestly, it's if only some store was like, hey, we released a new fashion line. It's Meg's wardrobe. Just Meg from Repo Man. That is her wardrobe, and she really stands out in scenes. Okay, when the camera is just on her, when it's her on like the stage or anything, it makes sense. But then when it was like the Three Stooges preparing for the show, I don't know, can I even like find it? I don't necessarily wanna find it, honestly. I think that's already this show. Yeah, that is already this show. That's where everybody is going to the show. Scrolly, 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 scroll. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Was it before you came or after? No, I'm not. I really shouldn't be searching for this right now, honestly. There's no need. But there was the scene where they're preparing for her last performance, and all of the Three Stooges are there. And she's there, and the lighting is yellow. Like, the lighting is like full on yellow, and the Three Stooges, they fit the scene, okay? They look a lot more casual. And then the camera pans to her, and she's in that full on theatrical makeup looking like a corpse bride. And you're just like, you make the room stop, honey. With those clothes, you make the room stop. And that's just such a vibe that, I love it. I love her wardrobe in every scene. I love her look in every scene, and it's a shame that she didn't have a lot of numbers. Now, the numbers that I feel like they should have completely gotten rid of, I suppose the point was to make them the villains. The Three Stooges have two numbers, and both of them completely take out from the atmosphere of the whole show, because you have like this very, very serious drama going on, and then you cut with these scantily clad nurses, and this guy just like stabbing one of them, going, I fuck every hole, and if I can't fuck a hole, I make one, even though he didn't even like try, but that was quite rapey, and it's to drive it home that they're like the villains with no redeeming features. It makes them comical, it makes them inhuman, while Rottie managed to be a villain, like a complete and total, like if you have like a scale of evil, you would be an evil with all of the actions, but he was composed, and he had some good numbers, and they were like Disney cartoon level evil, but also with more gore. That sort of evil. They didn't have much of a personality, is what I'm trying to say, and having numbers like dedicated specifically to them really took away from the whole thing. I wanted to skip them, but I didn't. But I really, really wanted them, because you have this atmosphere going, and then you just have the Stooge number, and you're like, pfft, all of that atmosphere gone. What am I watching, and where am I? And then you also had that weird Shiloh, I'm just 17 number that I outright did skip, because it is the most cringe thing of the cringiest things. There was absolutely no need for it. So outside of the fact that the characters can't really handle their relationship and communications right, that doesn't actually make them an unbelievable people. A lot of people can't handle their relationships and communications right. It just makes Myrta go, oh, honey, no. I liked it. It has its problems. I would say 7 out of 10. I am so glad to have watched it in full, especially in crisp quality. I did pay £2 to do this because I rented it off YouTube, and I rented it for a whole 48 hours, which is why I filmed all of this in the middle of the night, despite having work in the morning. It's Sunday, but I always have some work. It's the best rock opera that there is, but unfortunately this genre is totally unpopulated. It's the best because there's no other. But it has such a look to it, such a feel to it, that despite its flaws, yeah, I am happy that I did this tonight. I am happy that this is how I decided to spend my evening. And it made me think that in general we need dark musicals and dark movies so desperately. And I don't mean like dark, depressive dark. We have a lot of dark, depressive dark. I mean, dark theater dark. I'm talking Edward Scissorhands. I'm talking the Demon Barber from the whatever street. Sweeney Todd! There we go. That's what. I remember the subtext, not main name. What the heck's wrong with my brain? I mean, movies like that. I know that I effectively named movies from the exact same director, but I want that. I want that again. I want to see more of that again because it's just a fun and enjoyable experience. And Sweeney Todd, unlike this one, I have actually watched in full movie quality. But I also saw the musical, and with that one, my biggest regret is that my favorite tracks from the musical were actually cut from the movie. I can't actually make videos, I can't make money off these videos, and it's not like this is what my channel is about, so not like I can rent Sweeney Todd and make you a review for it. But I'm happy that I did this, because I never watched Repo the Genetic Opera in full, and I found the time to do it. And thank you if you're still with me on this journey. This video is far too long, far longer than it should have ever been. All you got was pictures, I got the full show. But thank you for being here, and see you in my other videos. Bye-bye.